Well, okay. Geez. Okay, there was a lot more people who enjoyed the reaction to the Hazbin Hotel pilot than I thought. So, okay. I shall do what I said, and we shall continue reacting to the series. So welcome to a watch along. Now, in the pilot, I took the risk of just putting the whole damn thing on screen, audio and everything, and just watching it through and reacting to it as we go. I am not, however, willing to take that chance with Amazon, who are the distributors of the actual show. So I'll be using my regular sort of anime watch-along format to do this thing. And the way it works is that we have a timer up in the upper left side corner of the screen, which tells you exactly how far along I am in the show. And you get this lovely little pause screen right here whenever the video is paused, so you can see exactly the frame that I am looking at. But when I unpause, boom, you go back to seeing just this little bit of key art and the timer, which will help you keep in sync. But if I go 3, 2, 1, pause, ta-da! You get to see exactly what I am seeing. Let me see if I can't get a subtitle thing going on here. Yeah, that should do the trick. So there, changes to the character design already. So that's the way we do this, is that I'm going to reset the timer all the way back to 0000, black screen. I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, go. And then we're both going to press play. And then occasionally when I have a bunch more stuff to say, like like I did the first reaction, oh god, I'll say 3, 2, 1, stop. Or pause, or whatever, and you'll pause, and I'll say my things, and we'll look at the pretty picture, and we'll keep going that way. So 3, 2, 1, go, 3, 2, 1, stop. Is that enough explanation for everyone? So yeah, Hazbin Hotel, Episode 1, Season 1. Let's see what we get out of this one. 3, 2, 1, go. And by the way, I'm seeing like the Amazon Prime logo and stuff in my video, so incorporate that. Yeah, A24 and Bento Box. Yeah, immediately that makes more... Okay, so we're repeating the intro sequence. Oh, not quite. We're doing more world building. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. So we're doing biblically accurate angel shit. Are we now? And this first episode is already sort of addressing some of the trouble I had with the pilot, which was that, like, some fundamental aspects of the world building were just not very well established in the pilot. Like, for example, like, one of the things I mentioned is that what is the concept of sin? Like, what is sin? Why is it so difficult to overcome? That was never really addressed. And, like, what I was missing there wasn't, like, that they spell out exactly which things are sins and which things are not in exact detail, but rather that the characters themselves express, like, well, I can't not sin, because, like, that's not an option that's available to, like, something to express why the concept of redemption is so impossible to, like, why sin is so inescapable to them, rather than just being this, like, because the only thing we really get is the news anchor being like, you think any of these motherfuckers want to repent? And then that's sort of where it's left. And we're sort of, that's where we get that, for me was kind of a jarring moment when the show kind of goes, oh, alcohol is sin? Oh, okay. Like, because then we're not doing commandments. Like, then it's not the 7 deadly sins that we're doing. Right? There's missing. So I'm glad to see a little bit of world building show up. And also immediately I'm seeing so much of like the professional production quality playing through in this intro sequence, just in the sense that everything is very, very consistent. Which is one of the things, and this is something that I know I kept going on and on about how inconsistent the pilot was, but that's also one of the things that made the pilot really interesting and fun to look at, is that there was so many personal touches that were clearly, like, specific to whichever artist happened to be working on whichever bit. you got these very, very personal touches everywhere that were like worth looking at and worth considering. I am going to go on a limb and say most of those are going to be going away here. Replaced instead with consistency, which makes for a much smoother and more pleasant viewing experience, but for weird freaks like me, maybe a little bit less. Maybe this one won't take an hour and a half. I mean, on the other hand, it's 5 minutes and we're like 47 seconds into this thing, so who knows? 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, we're getting a little bit of propaganda, are we? Oh, we're getting Lilith. Oh, okay. And we're doing the shadow puppet thing again. And there we go. Okay. Three, 2, 1, pause. Okay. So so Lilith is an interesting thing. Like, Lilith is, I think, at this point, a fairly well-known biblical figure. Well, biblical. But my best understanding of Lilith as a character is that she's, like, fairly poorly attested to within, like, specifically within biblical materials. Like, she sort of emerged in, like, what was it, the 80s? Like, where's the second or third wave of like feminist academia that sort of emerged Lilith as this object of feminist reclamation of specifically of Christian theology, because Lilith, like, her sin specifically was that she would not submit to the husband who, like, under, I believe it was specifically like a specific period of Jewish law, was supposed to be like dominant in the marriage, and Lilith refused to submit to Adam, and so Adam was like, "Hey God, what's up with this? Like, where you give me this shitty bitch for a wife? Like, give me something more submissive." And so God makes Eve out of one of Adam's ribs, so that she's like literally a subservient part of him, right? Whereas Lilith was created on equal terms with Adam, and that's like, there's been a lot of sort of like post-biblical innovation on that from like feminist scholars who have sort of interpreted Lilith as like a sign or a signifier of a biblical concept of womanhood that was at one time more equal, but which was replaced by a more reactionary, more regressive version. Like, so that's interesting to see that brought up here, right? Like, and I'm wondering, like, is the show going to engage with any of that thinking around Lilith? Is that she's this figure of freedom? And it kind of seems to be, given that the story is now positing that, first of all, that the Lucifer, Satan, that Lucifer is Satan, which is not a thing that's in the Bible, and also that Lucifer is the serpent, which Satan is the serpent, which he also isn't. The serpent is just the serpent; it just tempts Eve. It's not. It's a much later innovation to say that the serpent was one of the guises of Satan, like inflicting temptation and sin upon man. That's not really present in the original text, at least as I understand them. But what we're getting here is, like, I guess, the Lucifer's version of events. Like sort of like the hellish perspective on the thing that happens is that, like, oh, Lilith and Lucifer offering free will to humankind, the fruit of knowledge, yay, and doing a very good thing. And I wonder if that's gonna be revealed to be like a limited perspective on events, like that maybe Lucifer's motivations weren't like entirely benign, and that he wasn't just like a happy little creative soul who wanted to sparkle his joy across the universe. I wonder if that's going to be the thing, and that's going to tie into Charlie's character arc, that she has to learn to imagine her parents complexly rather than accept the simple story of who they are and what they are in order to accept herself. Because that seemed to be, God, I'm already taking so fucking long. That seemed to be the direction that it was pushing in that emotional conversation she has with her mother in the pilot. Is what it seems to be pushing towards is that part of why she is so determined to help demons redeem themselves is in part like an attempt to find redemption for herself, to prove that she is better than what her father thinks she is, or what her father has sort of limited her to be. sort of seemed to be the idea, and Lilith seems to have been cast as a very absent mother, which still one whom Charlie is willing to go to. Curious. Anyway, that's enough. Who knows how much is going to be canon from the pilot? Let's see. 3, 2, 1, go. Came with a curse. Darkness and sin. So that's where she gets the singing. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, so, again, this thing about, like, the recasting and the reframing of Lilith. And here, interestingly, Lucifer seems to have been rather shoved aside as the central antagonistic figure to heaven, and replaced instead with Lilith, who, like, empowers people through song, and who like, embody, like, sort of, maybe drawing a little bit from the Pandora myth, like that like Pandora, like Lucifer and Lilith unleash all evil upon the world, but now here down in the underworld, hope remains, right? Like, which is like, that's the version of the Pandora myth a lot of people are familiar with, is that Pandora opens the box, all the evils escape into the world, but hope remains, right? And that Pandora is like the guardian of hope in that sense. So that seems to be where they're driving at, which again makes me think, okay, so we're really gonna actually pull in Lilith as like a central antagonistic figure towards heaven here. Some interesting visual choices. I'm gonna rewind just a little teeny tiny tad to get some of the imagery here. Yeah, that looks like an angel to me. Sure. Angelic, definitely. Little moment of character design there. It's like, yeah, he seems like a nice guy. Sure, why not? Yeah, I'd be willing to trust him. And these, like, the angels that they're sending down here, they seem, yeah, look at those character designs. They don't look like Heartless from Kingdom Hearts. They look nice. They look sweet. They're fine. Look, the cheerful little wings. They got smiles on their faces and crosses for eyes, which are usually signifiers of death in some way. Yeah, this is all probably fine. Oh, look, he has a crucifix on his chest and the fish, the shape of the fish, which is one of the, what's it called, Christograms that Christians like to use to sing. So, like, okay, yeah, like we're taking pretty, which again is the thing I'm wondering, like, how much are we taking aim at, like, the cultural institutions and modern understandings of Christianity as it exists in the world now, like, for example, specifically American Protestant Christianity versus Catholic Christianity or Orthodox Christianity, and how much are we sort of engaging in a bit of like, sort of, I want to say syncretism, but that's not the right word, and how much are we just sort of pulling together like a melange of like quasi-Christian imagery into like this sort of mixed central bowl of Christian concepts? Because like the Protestant concept of what it means to be redeemed from sin and the Catholic concept are like, they have overlaps, but there's a substantial difference between them, which is like Protestants broadly, and God, there's so many fucking Protestant denominations. Protestants broadly believe that forgiveness for sin comes only through like God's love. It is entirely between you and God, and you get forgiven for sin if God says so. And Catholics say, yeah, definitely only if God says so, but also got a pope here who has the power to grant forgiveness and indulgences, and the Pope vests that power, which is vested in the Pope by St. Peter, who had the power vested in him by Jesus, and the Pope then further like distributes that power into his cardinals, into his bishops, into his, like, etc., etc., down the ranks, and the Pope can then dispense forgiveness for sin upon earth in Jesus' stead, right? Which are two very, very different, because Catholicism traditionally would also have this concept that you, like, this is the purchase of indulgences that leads to the Great Schism, that leads to the Reformation, that you can achieve forgiveness on earth through good works on earth. And good works, just how coincidentally, by sheer coincidence, just wow, it just so happened to work out this way. Good works include giving your money to the church. Like, that's a good work to do, because the church is good and it's God's representative. So if you give them your money, that's good works. And that only very coincidentally makes the church extremely rich, and only very coincidentally makes it so that rich people have much easier access to forgiveness from sin than poor people do. Complete accidents, not on purpose. Absolutely not on purpose. Who would do that on purpose? No one would, especially not the Catholic Church. They're trustworthy. And that's part of the theological foundation for the Reformation, where Martin Luther says, no, fuck you, the Pope does not have exclusive power to distribute forgiveness on earth, and especially not in return for money. Forgiveness comes from God, and the Pope cannot declare himself greater than God. And I'm skimming over centuries of theological debate that I should stress, I'm not an expert. Like, I'm not a theologian. I did years of history in university. That's my expertise. Where was I going with this? I have ADHD, can you tell? Right, my point is, how the hell did I get to Catholicism? My point is, I'm curious what version of biblical sin, what version of Christianity we're taking aim at here. And also just fun character design, like, yeah, no, these seem like good guys, sure. That was the thing, that was the point I was trying. It's gonna be like this the whole, fine, this is gonna take an hour and a half too, sure, why not, okay. It's gonna be, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Undertale heart. Okay, so Charlie sees herself as, like, the harbinger of hope. Oh, okay, character design changes. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, not really. I didn't really want to stop on Vaggie, but Charlie. So remember how in the pilot, I was talking about how Charlie's entire character design seems to be built entirely out of soft, rounded shapes, like just like where everything else in the thing is like sharp all the time. Charlie had a lot of these much more soft shapes. That's a little thing that's not quite the same here, because now she has a bunch more pointy shapes incorporated into her character design, especially into her hair, which was like a major source of like her round, soft, curved shapes. Which, okay, like, so was I wrong to read that part of her character design as like a statement of intent, or as like a semiotic part of who her character is, that she's the only one who has this completely round character design, everyone else is sharp? Or did they just sort of change their mind and decide to include a little bit more edge to her in this version of the character? Could be. Interesting. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Oh, the animation is definitely... A lot of it is worse, but it's way more consistent. I'd say worse. Lower fidelity. Okay, Lilith's still absent. Wait, who's the voice actress for Vaggie? I recognize that voice. I like her new character design. Like, it's more interesting than it was. Subtle little glow effect on her eyes. Nice backgrounds. Okay, so we're just skipping to after the pilot. Or what? Yeah, we're pretty much... Okay. His voice quality has changed. Better mixing, though. Okay. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. Love that... Okay, I know it makes it a little harder to stay in sync, but I'm going to have to rewind a little bit because there was a bit that I very much like. I remember him doing that gesture, like making that little neck crack thing in the pilot. And that's back here. I also notice a bunch of like streamlining in his character design as well. Like just generally all the characters have had their character designs. There's a lot of streamlining. There's a lot of less extraneous detail. Like for example, the pinstripes on Alistair's suit are gone. There's a lot of streamlining that's been done, and yeah, again, like a lot of the specific individuality has definitely gone out of the character designs, and I miss that. Like immediately, I miss that a little bit, because even though the animation was inconsistent, like it helped make them visually much more distinctive, and especially a character design as detail heavy as Alistair. I think kind of benefits from that idiosyncratic uniqueness. I like not in the sense that I'm saying that this show should have like copied his animation style from the pilot. No, that wouldn't have worked. That would have looked out of place and weird and awful. Just that this animation style, like this more streamlined, sort of more TV animation commercialized, is definitely less well suited to presenting his character design. Like it definitely does a less complete job of showing all the detail, all the, because like part of the point, and this is something I talked about too much in the pilot reaction, part of the point of that style of character design, like this Tumblr edge, I guess we're calling it, the over-the-top decorativism, like the piling on of detail is part of the point. Like that's part of how the character designs communicate themselves. And this animation style necessarily has to lose a bunch of it in a lot of places. It has to sand a lot of the edges down. And I do think something gets lost. Like I think his character design looks actually a little bit less menacing. He looks a little bit less powerful and refined. Because he has less, like in the same way that you know, like when you see a character in an MMO, if they are just wearing like normal pants and boots, and instead of like that's an NPC or that's a player at level 1. But if they have all of the glow effects and 5 million accessories, oh, okay, they're level 100. Like those are the powerful motherfuckers, right? And Alistair is missing that a little bit. Like he feels a little bit less powerful and menacing as he's rendered right now. Which, you know, unavoidable. It's not something that I think anything could have been done about, but I like that the neck crick remains. That's the point I was trying to get at. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Neck crick. Neck crick. Okay, that's a... Not only is that back, they're doing it a lot. Ooh, good posture on her. Oh, hello, Angel Dust. Oh, he's got an accent now. No, not quite, Angel. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, pause. We're never gonna happen, right? I think I'll suck your dick. Ha, no is a better joke. But okay. Some changes to Angel Dust. He's been flattened a bit. Like, oh, someone gave him a big smack upside the head. There's just like a divot down there. Okay. But he definitely, I think, with the flattening of the head a little bit and more of an emphasis on his multiple arms, he definitely looks more the part of a spider, which, as I have found out, that's what he's supposed to be. He's based on a spider, which makes me wonder what the fuck Alastor is based on, if an animal at all. I mean, I guess with the horns, something out of sweet. I'm trying to think. Demon with, because like, is it, it's not bull horns, but it doesn't look like antlers either. Doesn't matter. Anyway, Angel Dust. Some interesting shit, like, because with the flattening, like with the face being broader and flatter, he definitely has more of a sense of like, sort of like this broad smile, devious seductiveness to him, I think. Like it kind of does help this, like, especially when contrasted, like we have this very like flat wide head contrasted with these like 5 miles of legs that he's got going on, which again, good choice, like for making the character sexual and sensual and seductive. I do notice the bust has been toned down a little bit. Pity about that. Because I kind of like the gender bending that was sort of like, there was sort of that Angel does seem to have like a bosom. I thought that was cool, but maybe we want him to be a little bit more masculine this time around. I don't know. Interesting change. Again, some simplifications going on here, but I'm very pleased. So, like, because he's a spider now, I understand that the dots under the eyes are sort of meant to stand in for the idea that spiders have, like, multiple eyes in their head. Or at least that's how I read the character design. The single gold tooth, good choice, albeit I noticed that it's missing in this wide shot, or medium shot. How dare you? I have spotted an animation mistake. This show is trash. Not an animation mistake, just a little continuity error. Oh, wait, is that the gold tooth? They just outline it in gold. Oh no, it's still there. It's there. I'm wrong. It's cool. It's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing's wrong. I like that Alastor has slight torn edges to his coat, because like that's the thing, is like Alastor is like very smooth talking Mr. Radio voice of the 1920s. He's doing that whole shtick, but then there's that little, okay, it's got some torn edges on his coat there, like almost like there's a little bit of a rough edge to the fella, somewhere hiding underneath all that assumed gentility. I mean, I can't imagine that a demon could be particularly vicious, but, you know, maybe that's something that'll pay off. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Let's get through this. The backgrounds are gorgeous, too, by the way. Flatter than they were, but gorgeous. Good expressions on Charlie there. Oh, he's still doing the bust thing. Good. Hey, he's even commenting on it. Hey, nice. Okay, we don't get to hear Lucifer. Oh, they are antlers. Keith David? Little hard on the back of his head. Oh, that's sweet. Is that Stephanie Beatrice? Oh, she loves her. Oh, hey, okay, cool. Oh, I like the body design on Charlie too. Like she's taller, she's got some posture to her that she didn't have in the pilot. That's good. Good. We're repeating the bit. Ah, shit. Cool. Excellent. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Pause. I was trying to talk through it, but yeah, I need to. Okay. So one of the things about the pilot, right, is that yeah, oh, edgy, sin, swearing, like implications of sexual activity. But one thing there wasn't was any actual on-screen horniness, really. And I was wondering if the Amazon show was like actually gonna go to places where it like depicts sexuality on screen, because that's one of the things about American Puritanism specifically. Like especially American Puritanism. Also in Europe, it's not exclusive, but like American Puritanism especially is this thing where ultra violence. Oh yeah, sure. Like that's rated like 7 and up. Sure, like put a bullet through someone's head in Fortnite. That's just good, clean fun for all ages. But a female presenting nipple is an attempt to corrupt the minds of the innocent, right? Doom Eternal is fine for 12-year-olds, but God forbid they see a penis, right? So I was wondering if and that's something I noticed in the pilot is like it kind of had to conform a little bit to YouTube guidelines, I'm sure. And so there really wasn't any on-screen sexuality. So I was kind of pleased to see, oh, hey, on-screen depiction of actual sex happening, and it's weird kinky sex, and there's a dongery in the background. I'm gonna get demonetized for this. So that's lovely. And we're repeating the gag from, is that a fucking Among Us? No, it's a chair. But okay, it took me a second to realize that's supposed to be a chair. Jesus Christ. Jump scared. We're repeating the bit from the first from like the pilot episode where dear Charlie is singing her way through like blood and gore and violence and destruction, and like so we're doing the contrast between her Disney princess thing deliver. It works way better here because first of all, we've had time to see her as a character. We've had time to understand that no, this is to show that she's kind of fucking deluded. That she is, or at least that she has a radically different perspective on proceedings, that she literally sees the world through a different filter than everyone else. And now that we also know that like she was born in hell, she's like the daughter of the Prince of Hell, and like this is the only world she's ever known. Like, oh yeah, no, it makes sense that she wouldn't be so bothered by this because she's seen this every day for God knows how many hundreds of years she's been alive. So of course it doesn't bother her, right? Like it's that all starts to make better sense for me now that like we understand that this is a perspective that she's choosing to have. Interesting little animation mistake with the thing hanging on the thing there, with the thing being occluded by the thing that isn't there to occlude the thing. Huh. Animation mistake spotted. The show is terrible again. No, it's not. It's fine. Yeah, so that's cool. Also, Charlie's character design, I like it a lot better here. I really like. I am wondering about like the softness, the roundness of the shapes, because that seems to be gone. But I really do like that she has like stronger upright posture. I like that she's like not hyper femme. Like she has the Disney princess affect in the singing, but she's not hyper femme in her character design, which I think is cool. In fact, Vaggie seems to be sort of more explicitly femme than Charlie. Yeah, cool. Improvement on all fronts so far is what I'm trying to get at. Let me see if I can't get us back. Yeah, oh, got demonetized again. Get back to where I was. There. That's approximately 9:25. Let's just go from there. 3, 2, 1, go. Good singer, too. That's Keith David again. Okay, all right, fine. Award-winning demon bukake shows. That's a phrase that's gonna stick with me. Very good. Good background details. Wouldn't catch them without the subtitles. High note. Oh, good. Lady and the Tramp thing. 3, 2, 1. Pause. Okay, that was good. And I like the songs in the pilot were fine. Like I could see the point of them. Like they weren't like pointless distractions. They had a narrative function. But so the trope of musicals is right that you sing when you cannot, when words are no longer enough, when speaking is no longer enough to convey the depth of a character's emotion, then you sing. And when song is no longer enough, then you dance. And if you're really fucked up on something, song and dance at the same time, right? Or like dance break in the middle of the song number. And that's kind of that's sort of the platonic ideal of what the Broadway musical song is supposed to do. It's supposed to express more concisely, more poetically, and sort of more emotionally affectively than simple dialogue why a character is feeling the way they do, like what they're willing to do to get there, like how important something is to them, how deep they feel their emotions right now. So putting that here after Charlie has received like the best news ever kind of thing, that it's something that gets us so excited and like so rushed up that's like, no, fuck, hey, yeah, go to the office. Yes, everything's gonna change today. Like, yes, good placement. Whereas in the pilot, it's sort of at the start, it's this very sort of downbeat, like, bluebird rainbow. Like it's we don't have the emotional context for why she's feeling that way yet, but here we do. We have an emotional context that tells us why is she feeling this way. What, like, so just from a perspective of like using a song as part of the storytelling, this is way more effective. And like having Vaggie come in with like this like where Charlie keeps reaching for the higher notes and Vaggie keeps it kind of low because she's like expressing doubts. Does some storytelling about like the nature of their relationship is that Charlie is the hyper optimist who is like completely dedicated to her vision and ideals, and Vaggie is the one who's sort of trying to protect her from getting hurt by pulling her back down to earth so she doesn't fly too far and fall and hurt herself. Like, good, like relationship building. We understand who these characters are to each other and like why they behave the ways that they do. That's really good. That's cool. Also, wow, there's another crucifix or a cross, I suppose. It's not a crucifix unless Jesus is actually on it, technically, or someone is on it. Like, it doesn't have to be Jesus. It can be anyone. But it's usually Jesus. And imagery in the background there where we have the spheres of heaven, biblically accurate, blah, 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 eye at the top, which is the eye of God, and the triangle, so like we're doing Illuminati shit, right? Or like not Illuminati shit, but it's the imagery of like the pyramid with the eye of God at the top that everyone associates with Illuminati shit. That's right here. I think that's cool. And we get this sense of like rays of light falling down upon hell, or see it another way, fucking bombs being dropped. Sort of depends how you look at it. Interesting imagery. It seems to do some storytelling. We also have the heads of demons mounted on the wall there. Are they just gargoyles or are those trophies? I'm curious to find out. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Nice use of color contrast. That Charlie has like the white, bright colors that sort of match with the place, but then also the red suit and the red colors that are hell colors. Adam. Okay, so the subtitles kind of spoiled that for me. Oh god, is he a tech CEO? Oh god, he's a fail son. Got you again. Yeah. Good. Make him properly horny. Three, two, one, pause. Okay, so I like that Angel is much more aggressively sexual here. Specifically because the impression that that I got from his character, and this is a vague impression, it's not really based on a close reading of anything that happens, but the impression I got from his character is that he's like the classic case of, because there's that one moment in the pilot where Charlie's really knocked out and deflated and defeated, and the Angel is like mocking her, but then he also has that moment of like, you can see he feels bad about it, but he doesn't know how to do anything else, right? Like he doesn't know any other response to misery and tragedy except to joke about it and to be a hedonist, right? Like to seek pleasure, to drink, to take drugs, to do whatever. And my impression of his character from that is that like his horniness and his hypersexuality is in part sort of a self-defense mechanism. It's this thing of like, well, like, the world can only hurt me. I'm in hell. Everything's fucked up forever. I can never change. Nothing can ever be better. So I'll just seek hedonistic pleasure all the time, everywhere, forever. And that has the completely coincidental side effect of pushing everyone away from me who isn't willing to enable me in that, which means I never have to be confronted with people who like might want me to be better, but I will be constantly used by people who are going to confirm for me that like the only thing I ever get out of a relationship with anyone else is to be hurt. Is my impression of like, and mostly because not a close reading of the character, but this is an archetype that exists in storytelling, right? And also an archetype that exists in, you know, human real life. If you met a person like this, you know what I'm talking about. If you've been a person like this, I'm really sorry. You deserve better than that. Which again is the thing that comes back to how does the show conceptualize sin? Because like I don't think that someone doing what Angel does is doing, and that's like, it's not necessarily healthy for him if we're thinking about this from a human perspective, but it's not sinful. It's not evil. It's not like, it's not necessarily a great idea, but there's a big difference between that and something being like ontologically evil. So like, is he just in hell because he didn't have better coping mechanisms? Because that seems unjust. Which, you know, that's sort of a major critique I have of how Christianity works also. So again, curious to see if the show is going to take that up. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Rar, really? Oh my god. Oh, I've met this guy. Fuck me, Jesus. I've met this guy. He's a caricature. But he's a caricature, but he's so fucking real. Oh no. No. Oh, I hate him. Oh, I hate him so much already. I've been there, Nifty. It's okay. Yeah, no, like I've streamed to like 10,000 people once before. I felt like that. Oh, Spanish. Cool. Oh, he doesn't like being filmed. A deal. Oh my. Okay, it's just 3, 2, 1, pause. Again. So the stereotypical quality of Satan, right? Like that is Satan is the tempter. He's the one who like he gives you what's like the devil's deal, the thing that seems like a good deal on the surface, but then there's a strings attached, and he gets what he wants, and he corrupts your soul. That's that role, and this is the thing again. Me thinking out loud, wondering. Is that going to be a quality of like every major demon? Is there deal makers and they try to corrupt people, and like they sort of like they all make the problem worse by making deals with people that enable their worst tendencies and thus like stray them further from the path of redemption, whatever the fuck that means. Or is it just Alastor? Because if it's just Alastor who like does this kind of thing, like his thing is making deals, tempting people. Like he deliberately engineered this situation for Vaggy to be desperate enough to take up a deal with him, right? Like that's classic devil manipulation. So he's kind of narratively playing the part of Satan, like the tempter here, which again, I guess not so much for Lucifer, that role then. What role will Lucifer have? Because like it would be interesting to see Lucifer essentially as like a disillusioned creative type, like someone like who's like so burned out on trying to do good work and being rejected for it that he just sort of goes fuck it and becomes an absent father and checks out of all his responsibilities and all possibilities. Because again, Lucifer buddy, I've been there. Maybe not on a cosmic scale, but you know, I do work on YouTube. Uh, we can go to therapy about that together, buddy. Maybe you can get you to call your daughter. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Because again, see, he could have done that the whole time. Love the costume change. Three, two, one, pause. So the rampant hypocrisy here, right? Like, is that Adam has been sitting here being a sexist, being a misogynist, being a huge piece of shit, nakedly a piece of shit, cruel, crude, unkind, uncaring, and now this demon lady, the angel, like, what's the fucking difference, really? But angel lady is going around. Oh, you are only here because like your daddy was your daddy gave you special treatment. You're a nepo baby. It's like Adam is sitting right the fuck there. Like, what are you talking about, nepo baby? Like, Adam is right there. What a because like I have not had the misfortune of meeting many nepo babies of that kind, but I've met a couple. And Adam is a oh, he's an accurate caricature. Like, he's a caricature. He's exaggerated. They're rarely so upfront about it. No. At first, they're charming. Oh, they're always charming at first. My God, can they be charming? And like, they're fun. And like, they'll pay for things. Like, charming, enjoyable, fun people to be around. And then they start testing you. Like, then they start pushing a little bit, like saying an off-color thing here, there, like pushing a little bit further, and then eventually they'll pitch you. Like, eventually the pitch fucking comes where they want something from you, and at that point, if you don't check out, you're gonna get taken advantage of. But no, I've met the nepo baby shithead fail sons, like Adam before, and he's that's like whoever wrote him knows what they're talking about. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Unpause. Wait, who's the voice actor for Adam? Except for you, right? You know, I need to look up who Adam's voice actor is. I need to know this. Adam. All cast and crew. Huh. It is Alex Brightman. I fucking knew it was Alex. It took me a second to find it. He isn't on IMDb for it. But it was Alex Brightman. Of course it was. Is it now? Oh, okay, good. Interesting. Robotic designs on the Angel vehicles. Beatrice Brightman, Keith David, Kimiko Glenn, Erica Henningsen, Blake Rome. Okay, yeah, no shit. The cast is fucking stacked. Holy fuck. Okay. Yeah, no, I gotta say, I'm on board. Based on episode 1, I am on board with this. Ah, shit, actually, I probably shouldn't share the credits. That's probably also dangerous. They'll copyright claim fucking anything, the bastards. And there's the Spindle Horse logo. Ooh, cool. Bento Box helped out with that one, obviously. Yeah, A24 with the funding. And Mthon Studios with the funding and the publishing. What are the other languages available? Hang on. Oh, I don't have any other languages here, but there's definitely German. Mit den Stimmen von. Weitere Stimmen. I guess there's Spanish. Because if there's a Danish version, I want to hear it. It's a Castellan. Oh, cool. Sorry, I'm just looking through the credits here. I'll have a bit more to say about the thing, but it's again the français, mais d'accord. Okay, but no more than that. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Those would be the main markets, wouldn't it? It would be fun to hear a Danish version of that. But, you know, it's not going to get... Oh, also Italian. But it's not going to get published on Danish TV. Japanese. I might want to check it out in Japanese, actually. And a Polish version. Ooh, and a Brazilian. Well, that's also Portuguese. Well, Brazilian Portuguese. Let's see. Oh, is that Hindi or is that one of the Southeast Asian languages? Don't recognize the script. Turkish, cool. And that's it. Okay. Sorry, I'm just like dubbing. I think it's cool. Let's have a look around here and see, cause I got so distracted during that song because they was like the moment the motherfucker started singing, I was like, "That's fucking Beetlejuice." Of course, it's Alex Brightman. Of course, it is. But some things about his character design, like, there's a point being made with the character design that demons and angels are, like, not meaningfully distinct categories, right? We have this fucking sexist piece of shit fail son motherfucker sitting here, like, sucking meat off the bone and being an asshole, and then next to him we have this thing like covered in blood head to toe, and they speak of sin, right? Like, so the hypocrisy is like, yeah, no, like, not being subtle. And indeed, the show doesn't seem like a show that benefits from being particularly subtle. And like gold, white, royal, purple, like all of the sort of powers and aesthetics, or all of the palette and aesthetics of power, and the way also that his character design is used, like that he is much larger than her. He's like physically imposing over her. Which again, coming back to the thing we know, which Adam is a sexist and a misogynist and a piece of shit, and like no wonder Lilith didn't want him. Is like also that adds to that sense of threat with him, right? Like that's part of why he doesn't take Charlie seriously, is because that's a fucking girl, right? And we don't, like, we are the first man, and therefore listening to girls is not a thing that we do. Instead, we just sit around jerking ourselves off all the time, because of that is what man does. So like Adam clearly also the embodiment here of toxic masculinity, quite specifically, which again, curious to see if we get a representation of healthy masculinity to contrast him with, like, because that's the thing. I'm curious, like, the show is vague about exactly what sin is, which is like, okay, sure. It's been a little bit more specific here than it was in the pilot, but it's also vague about what virtue is. And that's what I'm wondering is, like, what is virtue then? Because the classical virtues are like it's the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's like the classical virtue. Like that's one that sort of exists like beyond the boundaries of Christianity as well. And like Adam is very much like, oh, I do unto others, but like no one does unto me ever. Like, how dare you even suggest that someone would do unto me? No one does unto me. And that's sort of the sinister plot twist at the end, is that one of the angels have been killed, and they don't like it when others do unto them as they do unto others. They don't like that at all, right? So is it gonna sort of come down to like that sort of classic cardinal virtue that's sort of understood to be universal, is that like the Hazbin Hotel crew are a found family, and they stick together through thick and thin, and they believe in each other, they care for each other, they love each other, insofar as Alastor can love, and sort of stand up for one another. And that is, like, that's the thing which is virtue within the context of the show. And Adam and the angels sit in judgment of others. And apply to them a standard to which they would never in a billion years hold themselves. And that is the cardinal sin of the show. I wonder. But no, yeah, like definitely, throughout the entire thing, there are parts of the animation that were kind of flat relative to the pilot. And what I mean by flat is, like, I literally mean that the characters felt less voluminous, less three-dimensional than they did at certain points in the pilot. And that was like a bit of a pity. Like, it was something I missed. Like shots like this one feel like not flat in the hyper stylized sense of flatness that they were in the pilot, but flat in the sense of flat, like fly swatted a little bit. And there are aspects of that like come from like all the streamlining of a professional production. What there also was that fucking shot with the limousine, which is driving into a very different shot than the one that's actually composed into or composited into. And that's sort of like, that's that tension, right, between professional production and happy amateurs, is that happy amateurs can create like individual sequences and little bits that are just like infinitely, endlessly fascinating just to sit and look at and go through, and like, holy shit, like the thought process that led them to do these things, and why did they do things this way, where professional production smooths everything down a lot more, but also gives you a much more even ride and a much better structured one. Like, holy shit, the structure is better here. Like, because it is... So, like, with a little bit of a plot hook for the larger narrative, with the introduction of Adam, this is sort of basically take two of the plot of the pilot. basically. Like, it's reintroducing all the characters. It is reestablishing, like, the premise. It's reestablishing the situation, but doing it in a way that, like, none of that, like, the TV interview, I think, in the pilot episode was not a great part of the structure. Like because the whole point is, like, the point of it was that Charlie goes there with all of her big ideas and all of her enthusiasm. She sings this song, and then they all just laugh at her, right? Like, it's supposed to be this moment of humiliation for Charlie where she sort of gains our sympathies, because, like, we've kind of all fucking been there, where we've, like, earnestly said something that we believe in out loud, and then we've just been laughed in the face by someone who, like, holds a position of some kind of superior social power. But it also felt in that way kind of cheap, and emotionally, like, I don't mean this in the sense that I would say it in the relative, but emotionally manipulative as a piece of storytelling, in the sense of, like, you should sympathize with this character because, oh, look, bad thing happened to her, rather than bring us into her line of thinking. Like, why does she feel the way that she does? Well, this episode establishes that much more clearly. Like, she is the last carrier of her mother's hope. La da 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 da. I'm sorry, I cannot not see an Undertale reference here. I know it's not, but, you know, she's the last carrier of her mother's hope, like her mother's, like, power of song, like her mother's power of, like, believing in something better for the world, right? Something which her father has given up on. So, like, now we understand, why does Charlie give so much of a fucking shit about this? Well, because this is kind of a core part of her identity, that it must be possible for things to get better, because, like, otherwise, not fun being alive, or being conscious, I suppose. It's like, immediately we have a much stronger emotional sense of, why does Charlie give so much of a shit, right? And so now we can be on her side when, instead of the TV interview, she walks into an interview with Heaven and is met with this, like, complete dismissal. And the guy, like very much, again, Adam cast very well as a sexist, like, constantly interrupting her, refusing to listen to her, refusing, like, to give anything she says the time of day or the dignity of any kind of response. He doesn't ever actually really respond to anything she says. He just, like, warbles out his own opinions over the top of that. And, like, this is the version of the TV interview, right? Like, where she presents her plan and she's very earnest and she believes things can get better. And she's like, you motherfucker. You think anyone down here wants to get better? And that is much more powerful when it comes from someone who's from the, like, the enemy, right? Like, from the opposing group, rather than, like, the TV anchor herself saying, hey, you think anyone down here wants to get better? Fuck you. Right? Like, I think that works better. Like, in terms of setting up the conflict of the narrative, I think that works a lot better when that sentiment comes first from Adam. And, like, it can absolutely come from the other demons. Like, it's also sort of evident in their attitudes, certainly in Alastor's, that, you know, yeah, this is all fucking futile. Nothing's going to change. This is a stupid waste of time. And yet, Alastor is explicitly, in the text of the first episode, more of an ally to the cause of redemption than Adam is, because even if he fully believes that this is nonsensical bullshit, even if he's only doing it for selfish reasons, he is doing it. He is helping, right? Like one wonders if Vaggie had let him do a radio commercial as he wanted, like, maybe it would have actually been a really good radio commercial. Who knows? Like, maybe, probably not. He's a troll piece of shit, this guy. But, like, I thought that was interesting as a point of characterization, is that, like, for all that Alastor is definitely in it for himself, and he's a selfish, like, little shithead, and he's just doing it for amusement, he is doing something, right? Adam is also completely in it for himself, right? Like, completely in it for selfish reasons, but there's this difference where Adam is in it for selfish reasons because he doesn't give a shit about anyone else, and Alastor does give a shit about other people. Like, even if only as vehicles for his own amusement, like, he is invested in them, right? Not saying that he's not evil, definitely evil, but that there is a difference in presentation of, like, how that evil manifests, where one of them is shown to be like, yeah, we'd rather be around this guy, frankly. Like, I'd take a day with Alastor over a day with Adam any day of the week. Like, fucking hell. Again, I've met guys like Adam. Don't care to repeat the experience too many times. And I like that. I like that presentation of, like selfishness and, like, self-interest and, like, being presented through different lenses, where, like, this guy is ultimately more of an ally, right? Because he does listen, right? He does listen to the people he's manipulating in order to manipulate them, in order to sort of turn events to his own benefit, like in order to sort of get his own jollies off. But he does listen. He does interest himself in it. Whereas one of the things about Adam is that he just doesn't give a shit. Like he's so completely uninterested in anyone and anything else in the world except himself, right? And that's evident from the way that he talks from moment one, right? Like he only has eyes for himself. And that's interesting. Like I wonder how that's going to be, like if Alastor's character is going to be explored in that regard. Like why does he take an interest in other people? Because Adam is perfectly capable of entertaining himself, right? Like Adam is perfect. Like he doesn't need any other living creature in the cosmos for anything, really. He can just sit on a chair and jerk off all day and he'll be perfectly entertained forever. This silly little boy. Alastor does seem to need other people. Like, if nothing else, as sources of entertainment, but he does seem to require other people to be present for him to have his fun, right, at the very least. Interesting. Again, not a good guy. He, evidently, he could easily end up an antagonist, but in the context of the first episode, like, there is that contrast being set up between them that I would find interesting to analyze further as we go. Oh, look at that. It ended up being over an hour anyway. Fuck me. I was so convinced that because the production was going to be way more streamlined, because there was going to be like fewer sort of rough edges and like mistakes and like odd ththings to talk about, I was fully convinced, oh, this is not going to take nearly as long. I can bang this out in 45 minutes, sure. Like, no more than, like, it's a 24-minute episode. Maybe I can do it in 28. I probably won't have that much to say. Yeah, fuck me, I guess. Okay. Fine. I'll do episode 2. Bye.